My name is Daniela. I am 26 years old. I live in Guadalajara, Mexico. 6 months ago, I could not speak English. Not even one full sentence. Not even, "How are you?" Without thinking too much. I felt lost. I felt small. I hated English because I was scared of it. But today, I can speak to you in English, and I want to tell you how I did it. This is not a story about magic. I did not move to the United States. I did not pay for expensive classes. I learned English from my small room, with my phone, with my voice, and with my heart. Let me tell you what happened. For many years, I worked in a bakery. I made cakes and sweet bread. The job was fine, but I had a dream. I wanted to work for an international company. I wanted to do customer service or tech help online. I liked computers. I liked people. I liked solving problems. And I knew that job needed English. One day, I saw a job post on Facebook. Remote job. English required. Good pay. Work from home. I felt my heart jump. I sent my CV. They wrote back. I was so happy. They said, "Your resume looks good. Can we do an interview on Zoom?" I said yes. But inside, I was scared. I remember that interview like it was yesterday. I put on my best blouse. I sat in front of my old laptop. My hands were cold. My heart was beating fast. Then they joined the Zoom call. 2 women and 1 man. All spoke perfect English. They smiled and said, "Hi, Daniela. Can you tell us about yourself?" And that was the moment I broke. I had the answer in my head, but the words did not come. I said, I am bakery, working, good customer, very yes." I could see their faces. They smiled, but it was the smile of pity, not the smile of hope. They asked me 2 more questions. I did not understand them. I only heard fast words. Too fast. My face was hot. I wanted to disappear. At the end, they said, "Thank you for your time." And I said, "Thank you." But I knew the truth. I failed. Not because I was not smart, not because I did not try, but because I did not speak English. After the call, I closed my laptop. I went to the bathroom. I cried. I cried so hard. My mother heard me. She came and hugged me. I said, "I want a better life, but English is a wall." She looked at me and said, "Then break that wall, mija." That night, I made a promise. I would learn English, and I would do it fast. No more waiting. No more fear. I knew I didn't want boring grammar books. I tried that before. I took an online class the year before. They gave me long lists of words. They made me memorize grammar rules. But when I tried to speak, I could not say anything. So I said, "This time, I will do it my way." The next morning, I started my plan, my own plan. I called it Daniela's English Every Day. I did not wait for a teacher. I did not wait for a perfect moment. I started with my voice. The first thing I did was this. I made a list of 50 sentences I needed every day. Simple things like, "Hi, how are you? Can you repeat that? I don't understand. I need help." And, "I like coffee." I wrote the sentences on paper. I said them out loud. Not once. Not twice. 10 times, every morning I sat on my bed and said all 50 sentences. At first I felt silly. My tongue moved slow. My brain said, "Why are we doing this?" But I did not stop. After 5 days, something happened. The words came faster. The sentences felt natural. I started saying them without thinking. Then I started talking to myself. Yes, really. I talked to myself in English every day. In the shower, I said, "I am taking a shower. The water is hot. It feels nice." While I cooked, I said, "I am making rice. I like rice. It is soft." My mother laughed at first. She said, "Are you okay?" I smiled and said, "Yes, I am just learning." That became my new rule. Every time I was alone, I had to speak English. Then I added a new step. I watched short clips on YouTube from shows, movies, or interviews. I picked 5 simple sentences every day. I listened to the speaker. I paused the video. Then I copied the sentence. Same speed, same emotion, same voice. One day I watched a scene from a movie. A girl said, "I'm not sure what to do." I paused and said it again and again. "I'm not sure what to do." I said it 10 times. I looked in the mirror and watched my face. I matched my lips. I matched my eyes. I became that voice. After 15 days, I noticed something. I no longer translated in my head. I no longer said the Spanish word first. I just said the English. My thoughts were changing. My brain was switching. I was not fluent yet, but I was not afraid anymore. I felt proud. I felt strong. And for the first time in my life, I believed that I could do it. But this was only the start. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. After 15 days, I was not the same person. My voice was not perfect, but it was no longer weak. When I looked in the mirror and spoke in English, I no longer saw a scared girl. I saw a woman who wanted more. I still could not have a long conversation, but I could say things. I could express myself. That gave me hope. And hope gave me more energy. Now, I wanted more. I wanted to speak with real people. I wanted to answer questions. I wanted to talk about my day, but every time someone asked me a question in English, I still felt slow. I understood the words, but I could not answer quickly. It was like my brain was stuck in traffic. I needed to train it to move faster. So I started a new routine. I called it my question and answer time. I sat alone in my room every morning. I looked out the window, took a deep breath, and asked myself one simple question in English. For example, I said, "What did you do today?" Then I answered, "I worked." That was too short. I knew I had to say more, so I continued. "I worked at the bakery. I made 3 chocolate cakes. Then I cleaned the table. Then I drank coffee." I kept speaking. I tried to make the sentence longer each time. Some days, I said the same answer 5 different ways. I worked today. I worked this morning. I worked and then I rested. I worked and drank coffee after. I was not just learning words. I was training my brain to speak. The words started coming faster. I no longer stopped to think in Spanish first. I just said what I felt. I did this every day. In the morning before work, night before bed, even in the kitchen when I waited for the rice to boil. I asked questions like, "What did you eat today?" Or "What do you want to do tomorrow?" I answered with full emotion, like I was talking to someone real. And slowly, it started to work. Still, my pronunciation was not great. I knew people could understand me, but I sounded like a robot. My voice was flat. My R sounds were too hard. My TH sounds were missing. I felt shy when I heard myself. So I found a new way to fix it. I discovered something called echo speaking. It changed everything. Every evening, I watched a video in English. Sometimes it was a short movie. Sometimes it was a podcast with subtitles. I listened to one sentence. I paused the video. I repeated the sentence out loud. I copied the speaker's voice, rhythm, and tone. If the actor spoke fast, I tried to speak fast. If the speaker was happy, I tried to sound happy too. One night I listened to a podcast where a man said, "It was a beautiful day, so I went for a walk." I paused it. Then I said, "It was a beautiful day, so I went for a walk." I didn't just say the words. I copied his speed and voice. I did it 10 times. At first it felt silly, but after a few days, I started to hear the difference. I started to sound more natural. Some days, I practiced like that for 1 full hour. It was not easy. Sometimes my throat felt tired. Sometimes I made mistakes. But I did not stop. I told myself, one day, this voice will be mine. And slowly, it became true. I also wanted to learn more words, but I knew one thing now. Memorizing word lists did not work for me. I had tried that before. I wrote down 20 new words, but I forgot them the next day. So this time, I used a new method. I called it story words. Each day, I picked 5 new English words. I found them from movies, podcasts, or songs. Then, I made a short story with all 5 words. I made sure it was simple. For example, if my new words were excited, bus, teacher, arrive, and surprise, I wrote something like this. I was excited because today was my first day of English class. I waited for the bus, and I saw my new teacher standing near the stop. When I arrived at school, there was a big surprise. They gave me a free English book. Then I read the story out loud. Not once, but 10 times. I also tried to use the new words in my own sentences during the day. When I saw my friend, I said, "I am excited to see you." When I saw the bus, I said, "That's my bus." These little things help the words stay in my head. After 1 month, I had learned over 100 new words. But more than that, I knew how to use them. The best part? I started thinking in English. Before, every time I wanted to say something, I thought in Spanish first. Then I translated. Then I spoke. That made me slow. That made me nervous. But now, I was starting to think in English first. One day, I walked outside and looked at the sky. I didn't say, "El cielo está azul." I said, "The sky is blue." When I made coffee, I didn't think in Spanish first. I said in my head, "I'm making coffee. I love coffee. It smells so good." I was living in English, and that changed everything. Still, I had no one to speak with. I was too shy to talk to strangers. I was scared of saying the wrong thing, but I knew I had to try. So I made a rule. I must speak English for 2 hours every day. No excuses. Some days I spoke to myself. I talked about my day. I told stories to my cat. I practiced fake conversations while washing dishes. Other days, I tried to speak to people. I asked questions at the store like, "How much is this?" or "Can I pay by card?" Sometimes people looked confused, but other times they smiled and answered me. That gave me courage. One day, I found an online English group. It was on WhatsApp. People from different countries sent voice messages and practiced speaking. I was scared, but I joined. I listened to them. They made mistakes too. I sent my first voice message. "Hello, my name is Daniela. I am from Mexico. I am learning English." My hands were shaking, but the replies were kind. One girl from Egypt said, "Welcome, Daniela." A boy from India said, "Nice to meet you." I smiled. I felt brave. I started sending one voice message every day. I made friends. I laughed. I learned. After 3 months, I spoke without fear. My sentences were longer. My voice was stronger. I understood movies better. I could have short conversations with real people. English was not a wall anymore. It was a bridge. Then one day, I got a message. It was from the same company that rejected me before. They were hiring again. They asked if I was still interested. I looked at the message. I looked at my phone. My hands did not shake this time. I said yes. The day I got that message, I was sitting on my bed with my phone in my hand. The same company that once said no to me. Now they were writing again. I read the message twice. They asked if I was still interested in the job. I felt a deep breath leave my chest, but this time I didn't feel small. I didn't feel scared. I felt ready. I replied yes. We planned the interview for the next Monday. I had 5 days to prepare, but I didn't panic. I knew what to do. I didn't open a grammar book. I didn't memorize rules. I just kept doing what helped me before. Every day I practiced questions and answers. I stood in front of my mirror and spoke about my work, my dreams, and my skills. I listened to native speakers online. I copied their voices. I read my short stories out loud. I even recorded my voice and listened to how I sounded. The night before the interview, I didn't sleep much. My body was tired, but my mind was full of English. I looked out the window and whispered, "I can do this." I believed it. That was new. Before, I always waited to feel ready. Now, I understood. Sometimes we are ready before we even know it. The next morning, I put on a clean shirt and brushed my hair. I sat in the same place, in front of the same old laptop. But I was not the same woman. I joined the Zoom call. I smiled. They smiled back. The woman said, "Hi, Daniela. How are you today?" And I answered right away, "I'm feeling good, thank you. I've been preparing for this. I'm excited to be here." The interview continued. They asked questions about my work experience, my skills, my goals. And I spoke. I did not freeze. I did not translate in my head. The words came. Not perfect, but clear, strong, real. At one moment, I even made a small joke. They laughed. I laughed too. I felt something inside me grow warm. When the call ended, I didn't know if I got the job, but I knew something else. I gave them the real me, the version of me that worked every day, the one who did not give up, the one who learned English in 6 months not with money, but with heart. 3 days later, I got the call. It was the same woman from the interview. She said, "Daniela, we are happy to tell you, you got the job." I didn't speak right away. My throat closed. My eyes filled with tears. I just whispered, "Thank you. Thank you so much." She laughed softly and said, "You really impressed us." After the call, I sat on my floor. My hands covered my face. I cried. But this time, the tears were not from pain. They were from pride. I remembered that girl who cried in the bathroom after the first interview. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to tell her, "You did it. You really did it." The next morning, I made 2 gifts, one for my mother, one for my father. For Mama, I bought a silver necklace from the market. She always gave me her time, her energy, her love. She listened to my bad English every day and never made fun of me. For Papa, I bought a watch. He never asked me to get a better job. He always said, "Mija, we're proud of you already." I gave them the gifts and said, "I got the job." My mother cried. My father just smiled and said, I knew you would. My first day at work was full of emotion. It was online. The team spoke in English. I joined meetings, wrote emails, answered questions. The first week was hard. I still made mistakes. I still asked people to repeat sometimes. But no one was rude. They helped me. They waited for me. They said, "Your English is good." And each time they said that, my voice grew stronger. Now, I work from home. I help customers in English. I write reports. I talk to people from the U, Canada, India, and more. I make more money than before. I bought a new chair for my mother. I fixed the sink in our kitchen. Small things. But they meant a lot to me. Sometimes I still speak to myself in English. I still practice. I still learn new words. But now I do it with joy, not with fear. One evening, I went for a walk near my house. I passed the bakery where I used to work. The smell of bread came out from the windows. A young girl stood at the counter. She looked tired, but kind. She reminded me of myself. I wanted to go in and tell her something. I wanted to say, "Don't stop dreaming. You can do more. Even if you don't speak English now, you can learn." But I didn't go in. I just smiled and whispered it in my heart. Now, when I think about my journey, I understand something big. Learning English was not only about language. It was about belief. Belief in myself. Belief that I could grow, even when it felt hard. English gave me a new life. But my courage gave me the key. So if you are listening to this and you feel small, if you feel like English is too hard, if you feel like you will never speak like others do, I want to tell you something. I started with nothing. I was scared. I failed. But I did not give up. You can do the same. Speak every day. Listen every day. Think in English. Talk to yourself. Make mistakes. Learn from them. Keep going. English is not just for smart people. It's for brave people. And you. You are brave. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.